Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to sift through complex source materials and pull out the insights that matter for you.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're diving into a specific section of the book of Zechariah, that's chapter 9, verses 9 through 17.
Right. And our focus really is drilling down on this idea of certainty, how specific, verifiable promises offered in these texts stack up against, well, our usual human ways of dealing with the future, predicting, guessing, sometimes just worrying.
Yeah, that constant urge to know what's next.
Exactly. And look, human methods, whether it's, fancy forecasting or just gut feelings, they're often shaky ground. But the claim here in this material is different. It's about reliability.
So our mission for you, listening in?
It's to find those concrete details, maybe even surprising ones, in these verses that can actually shift your perspective. Moving away, perhaps, from fearing the unknown towards a more solid hope based on what the sources present as dependable promises.
Okay, let's get started. Zechariah 9, verse 9. It paints this really vivid picture of a coming king.
It does.
He's described as righteous and having salvation, but what really jumps out is the humility. He's not arriving on some war chariot. He's mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey.
Mm-hmm. And that detail, the donkey, is incredibly significant. It's deliberately anti-imperial, you could say.
How so?
Well, think about it. A conquering king back then, he'd ride a war horse.
Yeah.
Big, intimidating, a symbol of military might. Choosing a donkey, it's a work animal associated with peace, everyday life, that sends a completely different message about this king's rule.
It's a statement.
It's a huge statement. And the sources really emphasize this specificity, this cultural contradiction. That's what gives the prophecy its punch.
But hang on, why zero in so much on the type of animal? Isn't just predicting a king's arrival enough? Does the specific mode of transport really matter that much?
That's a fair question. But I think the sources use this precision to make a point about reliability. It moves the idea of divine faithfulness from, a vague concept to something potentially checkable.
Okay, so it's about verification.
Exactly. We're pointed to other texts, like in the New Testament, Matthew and John, that record Jesus entering Jerusalem centuries later, specifically on a donkey, fulfilling this exact image.
Right, the triumphal entry account.
Precisely. That claimed fulfillment, that match between the specific prediction and the later event, is presented as evidence. It turns the prophecy from just sort of future telling into a marker you can point to. It builds a case for trustworthiness.
Okay, that makes sense. So if the arrival is that specific and documented as fulfilled, what happens next? What does this king actually do according to verse 10 onwards?
Well, the immediate consequence described is essentially the end of war.
Straight away.
Pretty much. The text says the chariot will be cut off from Ephraim, the war horse from Jerusalem, the battle bow broken. It's active disarmament.
So no more weapons of war.
Right. And this king doesn't impose peace through force. It says he shall speak peace to the nations. His rule extends everywhere, from sea to sea. It's a vision of universal peace where conflict tools are just obsolete.
That's a powerful image. And what about the people? There's some really interesting language there about prisoners.
Yes. Verse 11 talks about setting prisoners free by the blood of your covenant from the waterless pit.
A waterless pit. That sounds bleak. The sources suggest it wasn't just jail, right? More like a dry cistern, a place of, utter hopelessness.
Exactly. Deep, dark, no escape, no sustenance, total despair. But then, verse 12 uses this amazing phrase for those still waiting.
You mean the prisoners of hope?
That's the one. Return to your stronghold, O prisoners of hope. Even in that pit, they're defined by their hope. And the promise to him is extraordinary. Today I declare that I will restore to you double. Double. Not just freedom, but double restoration.
Double. It's not just getting back what was lost. It's an overflowing abundance, a radical recompense.
So what does that restored life look like? The imagery later on is quite beautiful.
It really is. It paints a picture of complete security and flourishing. The Lord shields them like lightning flashing, the trumpet sounding victory or warning.
And the people themselves. They're described as being saved, shining like the jewels of a crown in his land. Think about that immense value, prominence, beauty.
Wow.
And notice the specifics of the prosperity. It's not gold or military strength. It's grain for the young men and new wine for the young women. Basic, vital agricultural abundance. It signals true well-being, an end to scarcity and strife, a sustainable, life-giving peace.
So bringing this all together,
Right.
What's the core message here for you, the listener, maybe feeling anxious about, everything going on in the world?
I think the argument being made is this. If the sources are right that these incredibly specific, almost counterintuitive details, like a king arriving on a donkey, were fulfilled, verifiably fulfilled,
Yeah.
then that lends weight to the whole message. It suggests that these aren't just, nice religious ideas or vague myths. The claim is that this word is dependable, down to the details.
So that historical checkpoint, the donkey prophecy fulfillment, is meant to build confidence in the rest.
Essentially, yes. It serves as an anchor point for trust. And that trust, that perceived reliability, is positioned as the antidote to fear about the future.
Right. So when you lean into that kind of claimed dependability, the future maybe stops feeling like this huge, scary unknown that you have to somehow predict or control.
Exactly. And it starts becoming potentially a source of, hope, real security, because it's grounded in promises that, according to the sources, have already proven true in surprising ways.
It shifts the focus from our predictions to those promises.
Precisely. Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to chew on.
Okay.
If you accept the premise, just for a moment, that these ancient specific prophecies about the king's arrival were fulfilled exactly as written, what might that imply about the certainty, the reliability of the other promises in this same text? The ones about ultimate peace, restoration, abundance, the ones that maybe haven't fully unfolded yet.
That's definitely something to think about. If the past claims are verifiable, what about the future ones?
Something to mull over.